Our culture here at Noor is one of high expectations. High expectations for everyone, for all stakeholders, for students, for staff, and for parents. So we want the best for our students, and that means we have to go above and beyond, and we have to hold them to those standards. So they're reaching for their greatest potential.
I like this school because its gym is really fun. The recess is really fun. My teacher's really awesome. And my work is fun. And that's why I like it.
Because they have really good education and they treat everybody fairly. And we because NIA has very nice and caring teachers. NIA learns two languages, English and Arabic. Also, they have a very good education and very friendly people. These 4 pillars: character, community, scholarship, and culture. And the teachers are awesome. This school is my favorite school that I've been to because all the teachers are really nice, and my favorite part is the recess is longer than my other one.
The family of what are they called? Are they dogs?
No.
No. Are they birds?
No. Yes.
What are they called? What are they called? The family of? The family of Huda? Insects. Excellent. Obtuse. Obtuse. No, hold on. What does my obtuse look like?
Super big.
Show me with your arms. Show me with your arms. Extra large. XL ankle.
Been here, my son, pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade. We love this school. I feel like it's a family kind of school. We like it here. My kids like it here. Alhamdulillah, everything halal, the food. They learn Arabic too. That's a plus. Big deal for me because I was planning on teaching them. Now this took a big.
Our families here at Noor International are very involved and very engaged in their children's education. And with that comes their input, their feedback, which is very valuable to us. We are partners, so their insight and their needs is what helps guide our decision making. We tailor and cater to the needs of our students and their families. So with that partnership, it strengthens our abilities to provide even a better quality education and experience for their children. We may be small in size, but we make up for it in many other ways. We do have a PE room. We have a computer lab this year. We have many extracurricular culminating trips that we have planned for our students this year. So we're really giving them a very wide and rich experience here at Noor International. So if you haven't visited us, please do come by and take a look at Noor International Academy and all we have to offer. Close the door. Good afternoon, NIA parents and students. Welcome to the 2020-2021 school year. I know that this year has gotten off to a very different start than many had hoped to anticipate. I know many of you wanted to be in person, as did we. But, you know, the circumstances currently require us to be continuing to learn from home, and that's okay for now. We planned for our school year knowing the circumstances that we're in. Our return to school plan allowed us to know exactly the footprint of how we need to move forward and what was going to yield the best results for our students and their families. With that being said, for those new students and families that are joining us at Noor International Academy this year, we say welcome to the family. We hope you're getting off to a great start. And I do have a presentation that I'm going to share and kind of help guide the discussion today. Feel free to post questions and comments as we go. I will say that we have a number of questions that have been coming in, and we're here to support you. We're here at the building, as you can see. I'm live from my office here at NIA school building. So we're here in person. Of course, we're following the guidelines to ensure that everyone is safe and healthy, and that's the number one goal as we ensure your students' academic success this year. So as many of you were present in the broadcasts that were shared, you heard our superintendent, Mrs. Noel Hamadi, share our return to school plan and highlight the guidelines guided by the state and what that meant for our schools, our academies, across all of our academies, and what that was going to look like for students and staff in the first month of the school year, focusing on where we are in the phases as we're in phase 4 and starting off the school year, the first month of the school year, virtually, learning from home. Know that return to school plan is posted on our school website if you want to refer to it. It's a very lengthy document, but it is accessible for parents to review and to look at some of the details that were broken down and highlighted in the presentation. If you missed that presentation, it's also accessible online. You can access it on our school websites. You can access it on social media, YouTube as well. Know that as we continue to get updates and the state of COVID-19 changes, any updates that will affect our school and our programs and our schedule will be shared with you in real time. And as you know, we started school Monday, August 31st, and that was a half-day schedule. Prior to our first day of school, you received email notifications to join your students' teachers' class dojo page. And there, that led you to getting messages to access your students' G Suite account, which was their Gmail, and then leading into their Google Classroom. There were some hiccups for some, and or those who didn't see the email. And in the first day into the school year, we ensured that everyone was on, and fortunate to say that really there was minimal pause time for students and parents to get active. Know that email communication is the #1 method of communication between the school, our organization, and parents. So please ensure that if you're not on our emailing list, you look to the Class Dojo post that was posted this week on how to be on our email list, how to get linked to the email list, also to the Remind app. In our current state, easy forms of communication is key. and technology as it's 21st century is going to be how we quickly communicate with our parents to ensure that you're kept up to date and abreast of things that are happening and things that you need to know. Know that your students' virtual schedule is, you know, the 7:55 to the 3:15 schedule Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, 7:55 till 12:30. And what that means, and I know that, you know, parents have asked, does that mean that my student is online virtually 7-8 hours out of the day? No, students are not on a screen, working on a screen 7 to 8 hours each day of the week. That's not realistic, nor is it healthy, and we recognize that. But what attendance and participation in the Google Classroom looks like is students are logging into their Google Classroom every morning at 7:55. Parents and students there will anticipate to see a post of the daily schedule from their class teacher of what to anticipate for the day. And prior to that, the week schedule and day-to-day schedule has already been shared. But the day-to-day breakdown is posted before 7:55 each day. So when students come in, they review what's the expectations and the objectives for the day. And then they see the link for the tab for the assignments, where they will answer the attendance question for the morning and then begin the tasks that are assigned for them. There are 2 virtual meetings at minimum a day. Each virtual meeting with the teacher is between 30 to 40 minutes. Every day there is a math and ELA virtual lesson, every day. And that is a virtual live session with the class teacher. Now, to follow that live session, expect to see assignments and activities that are posted on the tab of assignments in the Google Classroom that are linked to that instruction, that learning lesson that the teacher provided. On days where there's science and social studies, you'll see either a live or a pre-recorded session that is posted for students to watch, coupled with an assignment, questions, and activity to complete. Those assignments are due that day. Unless otherwise noted, they are expected to be completed and posted that day. Now, the questions also come up, and I want to highlight, and I know this is something that commonly comes up. If we complete an assignment, is that considered to be present? There's a couple things that ensure that a student is considered present for the day. One, that they're participating in the live meeting sessions. We understand that occasionally something might happen where a student can attend the live session, and things happen, and we understand under the circumstances that's not unreasonable. But we, in general, expect that every live meeting instruction session is attended by every student. Coupled with that is the completion of those assignments. So it's both the assignments and the live sessions that need to be in attendance or completed for a student to be considered present. Now, keep in mind that students are following the expectations and guidelines of the teacher. And with that being said, that means they're following not only the daily schedule, they're following the schedule that the teacher provides on the Google Classroom. So that means the student is on in the morning and in the afternoon, and they see the posts that the teachers are sharing. Here is an example of a virtual learning schedule. Now you'll see in the schedule, the day on Monday starts with virtual ELA. And what that means is the student has signed into the Google Classroom, answered an attendance question, and maybe started on a grammar lesson that's been posted. Thereafter, you see at 8:29 that there's an ELA, a live ELA session. So anywhere you see live is where the student and the teacher are meeting. There's a meeting session, and it's with those links that are shared in the Google Classroom. And students click on that link and it leads them to the live session with the teacher. And the teacher will be instructing on English language arts, in this case, for that day. And then if you continue to follow the schedule, you'll see virtual ELA continues for a couple of more blocks. That's the opportunity for the student then to continue working on the assignments that come thereafter the live session with the teacher. All the assignments you or your student can find under the Assignments tab in the Google Classroom. You'll see that there are periods of time for health and fitness. There's lunch break. These are times for students to obviously have healthy time, stretching their legs, being active, moving around, obviously having a snack, eating lunch. The specials that are posted are shared within the specials Google Classroom. Now, when you, and hopefully everyone now has started to get introduced to Google Classroom and starting to get more comfortable, you'll see that your student has multiple classes. So they have their primary class, which is with their classroom teacher, their general ed teacher. And then you'll see classes like Arabic language, PE, art, or music, or enrichment. Now, the schedules under those classrooms, when they click on that classroom, they'll see the schedule of the day and the assignments for that day, just the same as any other content area. So it's key, it's very important for both students and parents to continue to visit and become familiar with the schedule and check your classroom periodically during the day to see, based on what classes you have that day, what might be posted for the teacher, from the teacher, for you to complete. Now, we've submitted so we don't miss this. This is a key point here. For students who are absent, Miss Elgamal, if you get a call from the school right around noon or 1 o'clock, you're going to receive a call if your student is considered absent. And whether you recognize that there's a reason why they're absent or not, and you haven't communicated it, or you realize that maybe the student hasn't been completing the task or attending the live sessions, this is an opportunity for us to inform you as the parent, to say, you know, this is what's happening or this is what's not taking place. Please ensure that they do get on and they continue to participate in their Google Classroom. And the first, prior to the first day of school, teachers last week posted a presentation. The presentation included a overview of not only themselves, an introduction and a welcome, but it shared virtual classroom guidelines and expectations. And so if you haven't watched, I think for the majority, everyone has watched the presentation. It was both either a video or a PowerPoint presentation from the classroom teacher within the Class Dojo account. Please do go back and watch it, because it's essential to know, you know, the small things and the big things. Small things being anything from, you know, supply list of little things that the student may benefit of having during their virtual learning, to the key elements of the schedule and expectations, the do's and don'ts within the Google Classroom. For example, something we're experiencing this week is students joining in on Google Hangouts, and that's definitely not allowed. We do not want students participating or joining in on separate Google meetings in private. You know, it's not safe. And we ask, and I'll continue to highlight this, that students ensure that they're not participating in things online that may jeopardize, you know, safety and confidentiality. So I highlight that today with you parents, just to ensure that you are aware and attentive. Kids do know how to navigate technology to kind of, and we recognize that they miss each other, and they, you know, are, you know, wanting to see each other, but we want to make sure that it's supervised and it's not in any way a concern. So those presentations, again, they're available on Class Dojo in your teacher's Class Dojo account. They were shared last week. If you haven't watched them, please do so. If you haven't taken a look at the tutorials that we've provided that highlight an overview of how, from the very basics of how to log into your Chromebook, to get to the Google Classroom, to students using their G Suite, how to turn in assignments, how to navigate the Google Classroom so they're comfortable, please do so. Take advantage of not only the presentations and the tutorials shared by our organization, but some that have been made from the school, from teachers, overviews and explanations. Take advantage of that. Watch those tutorials with your student. It's a learning lesson. Everyone is still learning, especially moving into kind of this whole paradigm shift to virtual learning. Everyone is still learning. So looking at those tutorials as a learning experience for both you and your students, so you're able to support, while also considering that you want your student to become more independent. We know it's not easy, having to give more attention during learning in a state where students are at home. And we know that parents are busy and they have other things going on. So the goal is for students to become independent. And so they are not in so much need of an adult to supervise the entire time while they're working. But to get to that point, it's a learning experience. So it has to be, with your support and your partnership to provide enough guidance and practice so they get to that point. So here are some additional tutorial links. I will be posting these again. These are just some of the links that were shared previously, both on Class Dojo and on our Remind app. So these tutorials are very helpful. They're short, they're very brief, and they give a nice, clean-cut, concise overview of how to manage your students' Google Classroom, how to submit assignments. Everything you could possibly need to do in your Google Classroom is available online and through these links. Again, our building, we are open. We're open for various reasons. We're here, and if you need any support, whether you call in or you need support with your technology, we've had parents come in and say, we're having an issue with the Chromebook, and you bring it by. We ask that you stay outside, and we will come out to you and we'll work on it, either have you come back or wait. Many of you waited outside in the parking lot, and our tech support, Ms. Bond, has mediated any issues and resolved it. So just know that we are here, and we're here to answer any questions and provide any kind of support that you may need. So again, without having to go in detail, and I think everyone agrees, missing school can have serious negative impact on students. So whether it is in person or it's virtual, know that missing instruction time, missing and not participating in skill reinforcement and learning has profound negative impact that will trickle on for grade levels to come. And research tells us that it negatively impacts students' preparedness for college. And so we want to make sure that regardless of the hardships and the challenges that we're facing now and with these circumstances, we want to provide all the possible tools and skills and knowledge and support that we can, so we're not increasing these gaps. And we are doing as much as we possibly can while we get past this hurdle. So again, I can't stress enough, it is a partnership. We can't do it without you. And we're very thankful of our NIA families, because we know how involved you are and how invested you are in your students' education. So for that, we are very fortunate. We thank and appreciate you all for participating. So I will say, and I know this is something else that has come up, our paraprofessional staff will be working with students who are considered fall under the category of more needy in terms of support, in terms of academic support. Those students are identified based on their data, yearly data that is multiple sources of both assessments and classroom data that identifies them more at need. With that, paraprofessionals work with them in small groups. This is generally what happens in our in-person classrooms. Now, it's not going to be much different virtually. So we have paraprofessionals that are scheduling small group instruction via virtual sessions that will start taking place on Monday of next week. We've begun kind of soft, and as this week and next week is what we consider a soft start, we are preparing and ensuring that when we have our programs and activities finalized based on our evaluation and kind of assessing where our students are, we can hit the ground running with respects to instruction and assessments and moving forward, regardless of the fact that we are virtual. So our paraprofessional staff, if your student is a student that identified under that category of needing more support, expect that you will receive an invite on Class Dojo from the paraprofessional identifying the days and times of when they will be meeting with your student for both ELA and math content areas. So that's with respects to support. Now, with respects to hard copy resources and workbooks, not many parents have asked, but I do want to let you know, we are going to be identifying those students that are maybe in more need of hard copy, whether it's a technology issue. We're fortunate to have, through the grant monies that were provided to our academies for the relief funds for our due to the COVID-19, we have hotspots that are available for parents who have not been able to access Wi-Fi. So we are providing hotspots for those who are eligible. You can reach out to the school and inquire about if you are in need of Wi-Fi and don't have access to Wi-Fi. But on the other end, there are other circumstances where students and parents will need hard copy workbooks that will further support their students. So we will provide that. Teachers are going to make recommendations based on that, and parents too can inquire about that. So if that is something that you have interest in or you have a question regarding, please do reach out to your classroom teacher and inquire about that. So we spoke on the parental support, but I do want to highlight, and I have many parents asking, how else can I help? Is there anything else I can do? There, aside from providing support for students at home, this is a time where students need obviously more attention and more support. Once and when that time comes, we will revisit what opportunities there are based on circumstances. So, with the situation that we're in with the COVID-19, we really can't identify exactly what volunteering opportunities will look like at this time, but that is something that will be forthcoming. We do plan to continue providing parent workshops for our families. If you are a returning family member or parent of NIA, you know that we have monthly workshops and parents participate. Generally in the past, it was where you participated in person, and we would host a workshop that was relevant to our programs, our students' needs, our family needs, and based also on recommendations that you may give and say, I'd really like to learn more about this resource, or how to use it, or how to work with my student from home. With that, we will continue to provide those workshops. They'll be both either virtual live, either with myself or other NIA staff members, or HES members who have provided in the past. Mr. Sharafuddin has always been someone who provided workshops and provides tutorials and continues to do so as well. Many of the links that you'll see come from Mr. Sharafuddin, who will continue to provide our academies throughout the school year additional opportunities that really are professional growth opportunities. Now, here are some of the resources that we may include in some of our workshops for parents that are online digital resources that are supplemental to our core programs, which include, and many of you are familiar with, resources like iExcel, Raz Kids for reading, Mystery Science, Brain Pop, and additional resources as well. So communication, I think everyone would agree, is essential, is key. And we communicate on multiple platforms to ensure that we, can reach out to everyone. And so anticipate emails, and you may see multiple emails. We try not to, overdo the communication and make it more concise, but email is a number one method of communication. You'll also see communication on Class Dojo. If you're not logged in or signed up, I think this year we have probably everyone now in Class Dojo, because to be in your Google Classroom, you'd have to be in Class Dojo. So, this year we're thankful that now everyone is on Class Dojo. If you're not, if there's any reason why you're not, please reach out to us and we can help you get onto the school's class. And the link is up here posted. And you just look up your school, but we have the class code for your student as well. So if there's any need for support with that, please reach out to us. We also have Remind. This link is to get on our email list. If you're not on our email list already, and this was posted on Class Dojo yesterday, but here it is. Join the email list. And if you're not on Remind, we also have, here's how to get on Remind. We posted that yesterday on our Class Dojo page on how to, many of you are on Class Dojo, but say I'm not getting Remind text messages, and I'd really like just a simple text message sent to me with the same information. And so you can do that as well. And know that if there is an issue or concern, I ask that you first communicate to your child's classroom teacher. And if you feel like your question or concern was not answered or not addressed, then please reach out to me. You can reach out to me and I'll share my contact information shortly if you don't already have it. Call the office as well, and we can schedule a time. I've had I have several, phone meetings, but if, anyone wanted to meet virtually as well, we could do so. So, we're here and we're accessible. So when it comes to grading, and I know many parents have asked, what's going to change with grading and what's that going to look like? Grading isn't really going to change any. The grading system and policy is the same. We have an 80-20 system. 80% is based on students' summative assessments, and that just means a culmination of end of unit type of assessments, and there are multiple. It's not just happen at the end of the unit, but at the end of maybe a few weeks of learning and an assessment that identifies a student's progress, and then thereafter they're retaught and then reassessed to ensure that students have multiple opportunities to demonstrate their growth and mastery. And then the formative assessments inform 20% of their learning, and that's more of the activities, whether it's the small activities, the ongoing activities that tell us, this is just a snippet, a sneak peek of where they are at this point in time. Now, these assignments and assessments are going to take place based on, and we're focusing on virtual classroom right now, based on the assignments that teachers are posting and sharing with students. So they will take place virtually. We are, basing it on, an honesty policy and integrity. We ask that, students, are not getting help or support with the unit assessments. We understand that parents want to support their children, but recognize that when we're taking a look at how they're doing, it's not merely for the sake of a grade, it's for the sake of knowing what else we need to do in terms of reteaching and revisiting learning to ensure that they have made the growth and are making and meeting mastery levels. So it just informs our decision making, it informs teaching, it informs curriculum planning and instruction. With that being said, if you do not have access to PowerSchool, which is our student data management system, and where teachers will be posting grades based off of the virtual assignments that they're assigning students, please contact the main office so we can reset your username password for PowerSchool. And then you can be able to log in from your phone. There's an app. You can check to see. Teachers will be posting students' grades weekly, so you can periodically take a look at how your student is doing. When it comes to grades as well, there is a nice feature on Google Classroom that teachers are going to be utilizing. And generally on Fridays, you will receive a report that identifies any missing assignments, and it's referred to as the missing assignment report. It'll come from your teacher, and it'll identify what your student has completed or not completed, and focused on those items that need to be done. At that opportunity, you can communicate with your child's teacher and let them know what and if the student can do to either make up the assignments or otherwise. So the scale is the same. Many of you are familiar with our scale system. It has not changed. Some of the assessments that you can expect students will be participating in this year, we will still be participating in the NWA assessment. And I know that you're used to that assessment obviously being taking place in the building. We did not assess last spring with the circumstances, and those requirements were waived by our authorizer and the state, whether it was MSTEP or NWEA. We will be, depending on whether we're back in the building or not, each academy has a different window of testing time, but the authorizers and the state has accepted that we can perform these assessments virtually. And more information will come on that with respects to what that's going to look like and how we're going to assist students to set up and teachers proctor the assessment from virtually from home through the screen. And you'll see, if you're new to NWA or new to our school, you'll see the different content areas in which different grade levels are tested in. And they're tested both in the fall and winter and the spring. This data informs students' levels, how we target and individualize instruction, how we provide additional support, whether it's paraprofessional support or general education support, and how we ensure that students are meeting grade level growth for the following school year. Here are some additional assessments that we have students perform in, and you'll see if you're not familiar with WIDA, WIDA is the English language where we assess the language proficiency of our students, as well as the state assessment MSTEP, and here identifies what grade levels are assessed in. More information will come in terms of how and when those assessments will be assessed, if whether student is in the building or in the virtual program. One thing that we want to focus on when it comes to students' behavior and how we're going to be ensuring that we're continuing to build character in our students virtually, and what that's going to look like. We recognize that parents, for the most part, you are managing your students' behavior because they're at home and with you. Now we're still it's still part of our mission, focusing on character building and ensuring that we're developing the skills of citizenship and good decision making. And though that might be a challenge doing it virtually, we recognize in lessons and activities that is a key and essential way that we develop those aspects of a child. And across our academies, we have 4 pillars that HES has developed in accordance with the mission and vision of our schools. And if you are a new parent or returning parent, you'll recognize that you'll see the language of these 4 pillars and many of not only lessons, but activities and language that we just generally use. Things like scholarship, character, culture, and community. And you'll notice it in our children's language. We celebrate their accomplishments and when they are modeling these pillars in various behaviors. So the behavior may be something that they demonstrate in class with another student or with their teacher, or respect to their own learning and their independence and being self-driven. and it highlights one of these pillars. And so we continue to celebrate and infuse those pillars in our teaching and their learning throughout the school year. So it is one of our missions to continue to do so virtually. And so we can ensure that that is a component that students understand is valued and part of their growth. So you'll see celebrating student successes rather than highlighting disciplinary actions. So when we talk about PBIS, which is the Positive Behavior Intervention System, we are highlighting students' good choices. So positive reinforcement is reflecting and celebrating those students' good choices and positive decision-making to ensure that that is promoted and ongoing in what they do, rather than pinpointing what we don't want to see happening or the not so good choices that they're making. So that's also going to be reflected even through virtual classrooms. And teachers are going to be able to do this by celebrating and giving shout outs on Class Dojo, highlighting student by name of those that are standing out in terms of performance, and just all around being those students who are highlighting those pillars. And every student can be celebrated. And so that is something that you'll recognize at NIA, is that we do look for student strengths. And that is part of promoting and building student self-confidence and self-worth, is that everyone has strengths. And we need to identify and highlight those strengths. So we ensure students have a confidence level that they recognize they can accomplish great things. And everyone has opportunities or areas for growth. And with confidence and strong self-worth, they're able to reach those goals and identify whatever shortcomings they may have. So know that you'll hear shout outs, whether we're celebrating individual students or whole classes, whether it's academically or behaviorally or anything in between. So you'll recognize that teachers will be using rubrics to identify and measure students when they are, whether they're grading an assignment, whether they are looking at, so that we remove any type of human bias out of assessments that are not standardized assessments. So rubrics are often used, whether it's in writing or otherwise. The rubrics generally will be shared by the teacher. And so you can highlight and identify why and where your student is and what may be gap areas or what was missing in their performance to understand better of where their level is coming from. We also want to focus and build our students' ability for higher order level thinking. 21st century development and learning is the key to ensure that students are prepared for college and life, and that they are able to compete in a global kind of economy. And so that starts very early on, and we recognize that. And we recognize that is to build their higher order level thinking skills, to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, and leaders. And this is how we want to develop them, so they understand we expect great things from them. We have very high expectations. And this is starting from day one. So if you heard a lot of the presentations reflecting on high expectations, because it sets the stage, and we ensure that that is the foundation. So here are some of our goals for our district and school-wide goals, and you'll see this slide and these 6 goals highlighted also in another presentation that I'll be sharing a little later with you, that reflects what we're focusing on across our academies. We recognize that, one, we always want to be sound when it comes to compliance, but we also want to make sure that we are, and we've added a goal here, that we need to, of course, be developing and maintaining technology to ensure that we're able to sustain in the capacity where we are currently with virtual learning. The goals are ongoing, and so these are areas that we reflect in our school improvement planning. So we talked a little bit about expectations, and we talked about the expectations that involve students But know that it doesn't just stop or end with the students. It reflects all of us. So the staff at NIA is part of an ongoing school improvement planning process where we are always reflecting and looking at whether it's data of our students or data in other areas of the school where we need to focus attention on to ensure our growth is ongoing and that we can expect and support those goals being established and continuing to meet those goals. So when we're looking at our school and goals and expectations, we are a Title I school. We are school-wide Title I, and I'll share additional material with you on Class Dojo to reflect more detail of our Title I component and some of the school improvement planning processes, our school improvement teams, the funding sources that reflects and what it means to be Title I. A Title I school is a school that has gap areas, and whether they're based on the family's socioeconomic statuses or educational background. There's a number of criteria that a school must meet to be categorized as Title I. We receive funding that is focused on Title I needs, and those Title I needs are focused on programs, resources, and staffing to ensure that we're meeting all of our students' needs and the families' needs. And I'll give you additional detail that reflects all of the components and how parents participate in that school improvement planning process, and how parents are also asked and welcome to be part of our school improvement teams as stakeholders and help that inform the decision making that we make moving forward. So that is the Title I presentation that I'll be sharing a link to on our Class Dojo page that will allow and give you more additional detailed information. And I know you might have some questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing some additional questions. I know everyone's been calling in and kind of asking questions as they've come up this week. I intentionally wanted to take this opportunity later in the first week of school, knowing that things were going to come up this week. Parents, until you experience the class, the Google Classroom and your classroom teacher, you might have things come up that I can speak to and answer to. But I'm excited to know that we have families that are very much involved and very much looking forward to an effective school year. That is our mission. Our mission is not to allow any hindrances to affect students' learning and teachers' teaching and an overall learning experience to be one that's healthy and productive. But of course, we can't say it enough. We need your support and we need your involvement to ensure that we can make make good on our word and make those promises a reality. So again, if there's any way that we can provide you additional support or assistance, please reach out to us. This is my contact information. You'll see the school's number, my email address, the contact information to our central office, and don't see any questions coming through. Well, maybe I've answered all the questions all this week. I don't know. But if we have any students watching right now, I want to welcome you all. And I look forward to visiting your Google meetings this coming week. I'll be popping in and we will have a short opportunity to welcome all of our new students and say hello to our returning students. I'm excited to see all of your faces. And we're going to have a fantastic school year. Doesn't matter whether we're near or far. We're going to teach you wherever you are, and we're going to make it positive, and we're going to make it a great school year. And hopefully we'll be together soon under one roof. And if not, we're going to continue to make the best outcomes possible. So if there's no questions, I'm going to say farewell for now, and we will see each other soon, hopefully, whether it's virtual or not. Okay.